So Ricky, yeah, he's solid. Hanley, I mean, he's Hanley. I mean, everyone knows who he is. And then I heard your name, and I was like, that is the most unoriginal name that I have ever heard of. The Hanley Haters. I was like, I mean, their team is just going to be just as unoriginal.
All right, everybody, you have figured out what you're going to do post-COVID. You are going to lay out the value proposition that you put together. Now you've got some issues that you have to deal with in terms of getting in front of people. So this challenge is going to sound like it's simple for you, but I'm going to judge this one hard because this is something I'm passionate about. So for this challenge, you need to do two things for me. The first one is create your phone script for booking appointments. And the second one is to create your elevator pitch. There is an art and a science to constructing this stuff. So make sure you highlight your value proposition specific to those industries you've identified as being your best potential to increase your book of business post-COVID. And I want you to upload that via video. And that's it. I really don't need a written script this week. So this will be a 100% video challenge. And I'm looking forward to hear what every single one of you has to say, because one of the hardest things we can do is take something we're passionate about that's somewhat complex to explain and dialing it down into 15 seconds. That's your challenge. Go get what's yours.
So basically what I did is just combine the value proposition and the process that we did last week or last challenge.
Yep.
Put that into a 15-second spiel.
Where did you get this 15-second elevator pitch from? Did you get this off of some of his writings or something?
No, I just combined what we did in the value proposition challenge with the process challenge. And then this is the wording that I use for my benefits stuff, the business expense to form an asset. I use that in my benefits stuff. So you might as well use that for work comp and whatever else.
So my big thing is, does the customer understand it, right? Like when you say this, or you're using big fluffy words, I help business identify and reduce work comp issues in order to maximize profitability. The maximize profitability is important, but it's not needed. I want you to keep it. I'm just giving you my feedback, right?
Sure.
The thing you said, which is a business identify and reduce work comp issues, boom, that's got me singing as an insured, right? Because I know that shit costs a lot of money. So I think you're good there. I do this by analyzing and illustrating how each claim has impacted your bottom line. That's good, right? That's good. In turn, create and implement solutions to minimize your cost. By using this process, yeah, I agree. I think that sounds good. I really do.
And I've timed myself doing it. It's like 17 to 18 seconds every time I do it.
Well, it is very concise. I do like that. I applaud you on that.
Thank you.
No, I think it's good. I don't think that you want to go longer than that. And yeah.
That's what I was getting into, the cold call script, elevator pitch. You know, audit was one that I was seeing the biggest focused and ease on, because I know that's an easy pain point, and last year is going to cause a lot of crazy audits for people either having grown or not, and sales and this. So there's going to be a lot of change. I don't know. Audits, I think, is a good cold call stick.
Yeah, but so like, you know, that kind of depends on the timing of your call, right? Like if you can find out their X date ahead of time, then you could make that call at a particular moment, as opposed to later on a different time in their cycle. You know, you could get in that way with your wedge. I'm sure talking about an audit anytime, people remember them. They're not always fun.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some are probably not a big deal. Some are probably not good. They're all over the place. But ideally, you really want to get them thinking about you. And if helping through an audit is something that you can do, a lot of agents are lazy. We already know this. They're not going to necessarily help with the audit or know what to do, right? That's a good That's a good wedge issue to poke at.
The phone call that will make it rain. When you start thinking about your first phone call to your potential client, who's going to be that lifeblood of your agency's growth, you start to get really nervous. You start to think about, what am I going to say? What questions will they ask? Your heart rate increases. Your emotions, they begin to shatter. Step outside that box before you even make the phone call. Well, let's break the phone call framework into 4 parts. Number 1, the gate key. Number 2, the connection point. Number 3, the value bomb. And number 4, the ask. Now, it's really important when we combine these 4 elements to keep the call mindset in place. The call mindset: confident, authentic, likable, and limber. We have to be flexible when making this call. Now, let's put all these things together and go make a call.
Good morning, Legacy Home Care. This is Sarah speaking.
Good morning, Sarah. This is Brady with Commercial Risk Advisors. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. I'm calling to follow up with David about a total risk review document I sent over him. Is he around?
One moment, let me check.
This is David.
Hey, good morning, David. This is Brady Neal with Commercial Risk Advisors.
Hello, Brady.
Listen, I wanted to follow up with you on the total risk review document I sent over and see if I could get your feedback, see if you had a chance to take a look at that.
Well, Brady, I don't remember taking a look at that. We've been so busy with everything going on.
Yes, sir. I completely understand. I know, man, I know how swamped you all have been with seniors wanting to age in place, with in-home care because of COVID-19, not to mention all the compliance changes that are happening and workers' comp changes we're seeing during this time. So I completely understand.
It's crazy.
I just wanted to take a couple minutes. Commercial Risk Advisors, we believe that managing risk is more than just paying a premium or completing audits. You know, we are going to place you with the most appropriate carriers and the most affordable insurance products, yes. But our approach is to better understand your total cost of risk as a company. And we help reduce that cost with some of the services that come with Commercial Risk Advisors that come as a benefit for our clients, like real-time workers' comp reporting and monitoring, claims reporting and management, compliance tracking tools. Those are just a few of the things that come with our services. So, you know, David, I wanted to see if you consider putting a time on the calendar so that I could sit down with you or your team or through a video call where I can better describe our approach to understanding total cost of risk for legacy builders in home care.
Well, Brady, that does sound interesting. We might be willing to do that.
Once again, Brady's packaging is impeccable, but this week he fell off a little bit in his response to the challenge. Number 1, he completely missed the elevator pitch. All I heard was a phone script, and the challenge was to create your phone script and your elevator pitch. And this is probably the most difficult challenge to date because in these situations, less is more. You have one job: to get people interested in what you do with the elevator pitch and to book an appointment with the phone script. You're not calling to chat and see how they're doing. You're also not calling to get into the technical things that are going on with their business, and you don't want to overly speak about your company. In Brady's recreated phone call, it was just too long. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He just engaged far too long in conversation and was spending more time talking about what his firm did as opposed to just getting an appointment booked. The right time to get into your firm's capabilities are not on an appointment booking phone call. It's in that first meeting. Really wish I would have seen Brady pull through and give us the elevator pitch as well. But he's on the fence on this one. I mean, I think he'll probably be safe, but definitely expected more this week.
Here's my elevator pitch. What I have done is combined my value proposition with the process from the last couple of challenges into a quick 15 to 20 second elevator pitch. So here it goes. I help businesses identify and reduce work comp issues in order to maximize profitability. I do this by analyzing and illustrating how each claim has impacted your bottom line, and in turn create and implement solutions to minimize your cost. By using this process, I'll turn your insurance program from a business expense into a performing asset for your company. All right, guys, here is my phone script. In this example, I'm going to use a dealership as the business I'm calling on, and I'm going to imagine that the dealership has a 1.40 mod currently. So here we go. Hi, Billy. My name is Derek from Danzig. I'm a work comp advisor, and I specifically work with organizations that have had issues with inflated costs within their work comp program. Billy, I only have a minute, but I wanted to specifically reach out to you because I was notified that your work comp cost is 40% higher than the average dealer in Illinois. Billy, are you happy that your dealership's paying 40% more than the average dealership in the state of Illinois? No? Okay. Well, in the past several years, has anyone performed a mod analysis for your business to show how each claim is impacting your cost, and have they explained where the money is leaking from your bottom line? You haven't. Okay. Well, being that you are unhappy with paying 40% more than the average competitor in the state, and you've not had a mod analysis done in the past couple of years, doesn't it make sense that we sit down and review a mod analysis to demonstrate how we can improve your cost and validate that the mod is even correct? Well, Protege Nation, thanks for watching my phone script and elevator pitch. I'll let you know that I actually have practiced this phone script, and I was able to successfully schedule a mod analysis with a new prospect. So I used this phone script and was able to set a meeting. You guys should try it at home. Other than that, thanks for watching challenge number 5. Until next time, kill or be killed. And remember, V for D. Hayden, out.
So Derek redeemed himself to some degree with last week's challenge, but he has cemented his place in the front runners with this one. He did exactly what he needed to do. And while I think his elevator pitch was a lot of words crammed into a short amount of time that he accomplished getting out by reading faster, the intent behind how he went to build that was 100% spot on. I would like for him to take it and analyze it one more time, maybe take out about 30% of the wording that's in there, and then come back with something that's more succinct that he doesn't have to speed read to get through. But the message was on point, and with a little fine tuning, his elevator pitch will be perfect. With regard to his phone script, if I were to even think about criticizing this, I'd be the biggest hypocrite on the face of the earth because it's a page directly out of my book. Hayden used my 2 no's to a yes script that I have published on social media in both blog post and video format, and I'm not surprised that he got an appointment with it because it works. If you haven't followed the psychology of getting somebody to know first in the phone script, go back and read the blog post on killingcommercial.com called Flip the Script on the Phones. It will change the way you think about how you go about this. But it is important to note that the only reason that Derek is able to use the 2 no's to the yes is because he did his research prior to the call, and he had information that he could use as part of the appointment setting process. Overall, impeccable job on this challenge. Way to use the resources that I've put out there. I have no problem at all with him recreating what I've already done and proven to work in my own agency. That's why I share it with you people. Use this stuff. It works.
Hey, there's Jason Webb, Minnesota Risk Partners. Challenge number 5 for the Protege regarding phone scripts and elevator pitch. So the phone script has to do with conducting a webinar. Again, I want to set myself apart as being an expert in my field. So it goes something like this. This is Jason Webb with Minnesota Risk Partners. How are you? Did you know that OSHA has already issued $1.4 million in fines for those who are not COVID compliant? Let's wait and see what they say. Did they know it? Probably not. I'd like to invite you to a complimentary webinar that we are hosting to help you with this. All I need is the name and email address of the person who manages your OSHA and safety related issues, and I'll send it right over. Fair enough? And I'd also end with the question, oh, by the way, are they also the person who takes care of your work comp insurance? Because I might want to get that bit of information. So there's the phone script. The elevator pitch goes something like this. I am a risk manager for Minnesota Risk Partners. We help Minnesota contractors and manufacturers prevent and manage workplace injuries and illnesses. Our processes are proven to increase profits and minimize future litigation. Most of our clients think of us as work comp experts because, on average, we're able to save them 39% on their work comp insurance. That's it. Phone script, elevator pitch done. Thanks for listening. Stay safe.
Here we go with our second ever Loom on Loom video commentary. Webb is the Loom master. Now listen, I am going to be critical of this, but it's only to help Jason. I really actually like the angle he's using on the phone to get people to a webinar. The problem is it's a little bit clunky in the delivery. I'd like to see it be a little smoother script, but the fact that he's doing this is absolutely a great idea. The second thing is I would challenge him, instead of just getting the email for the person and then having, sending them an invite or whatever, I would have liked to have seen him tell us what he's going to do with that invite, how that's actually going to work. And the reason I say that is this is a prime opportunity to get the information that you're missing on an account. You can take that information, you can take the email, you can send a nice, well-branded invitation over with a link for them to click to register. When they do, send them to a landing page and then get as much information as you can prior to them coming on to the webinar. You can ask them their experience mod. You can ask them who their current carrier is. You can ask them what their expiration date is. These are all things relative and relevant to doing a mod analysis and reducing workers' comp costs. So it shouldn't be out of the ordinary that you're asking for it, but you're missing out on a prime opportunity to put information into your CRM if you don't ask the question. With regard to his elevator pitch, I also think it's too clunky. I think that it does not give somebody an idea that this is actually going to be a profitable thing for them without a big cash outlay. It sounds like, hey, we're an expensive consultant that's going to come in and we're going to help you run profitably in this area of your business. But it doesn't really address the elephant that is always in the room that talks about how it's going to be funded. And I'm going to give you guys what my example of an elevator pitch and phone scripts are at the end of this episode. So I'm not going to do it here, but I feel like Jason was on the right track. He just needs to polish it a little more. That's why I knew this was going to be hard. It's very difficult to take something as complex as what we do and get it down into a very short but easy to deliver message. And you're seeing some of these guys struggle with this week.
Hey Joe, my name is Robert Protege with Sullivan Curtis Monroe. First off, I want to thank you for taking my call. I know you're extremely busy, so I'll only take a quick second of your time. I was wondering, do you shop your workers' comp insurance? Oh, okay, great. And do you know when your workers' comp insurance renews? Great. Okay, well, it looks like we have a few months until renewal, so how about I reach out to you at a more appropriate time? Great. And what's the best email for me to contact you at? Great. Okay. I'll reach out to you later. Thanks, Joe. Hey, Joe. My name is Robert Protege with Sullivan Curtis Monroe. First off, I want to thank you for taking my call. I know you're extremely busy, so I want to take a quick second of your time. I was wondering, do you shop your workers' comp insurance? Oh, okay. Is there any reason why you don't take competitive quotes on your workers' comp insurance? Okay, I see. So your broker does a thorough marketing summary every year. Okay. Well, we're one of 5 brokers in Southern California with access to Century Insurance who loves writing businesses in your industry. So I know for a fact your broker won't get a quote from them every year. And to be honest, Century, for businesses in your industry with your caliber, the rates are pretty competitive, pretty aggressive. Exactly. Yeah. Well, how about this? Think about my offer for us to quote you with Century, and I'll reach back to you in a few days. And if you end up working with me, with your permission, maybe we can even approach some other markets that your current broker doesn't go to. Yeah, we're pretty large ourselves too. So we find a lot of times that when new clients come to us, we actually have access to markets that their current broker didn't in the first place. Okay, that sounds good. All right, thanks, Joe.
So with Robert, I have the same complaint that I had with Brady. He completely missed the elevator pitch portion of the challenge and went directly to the phones. Now, his phone commentary overcame the fact that he completely missed the other part of the challenge, but there were a couple of things I would have tweaked. Now, all together, his process is proven inside of his agency, so it obviously works. But what I didn't hear, and it's because he didn't actually come out with a brand for his own process, was him talking about his process in the phone script. The other thing is when he got the objection, instead of, sort of overcoming it the way he did and immediately moving to an insurance carrier solution, which, by the way, I have no argument with, I would have tried to get a little bit more information from that person on the phone, and I would have done that by using a technique called mirroring. And if you haven't heard of mirroring, I would recommend that you read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, because it is one of the tactics that he talks about in his book. But mirroring is where you basically just repeat the last 3 to 4 words that somebody says. So when he asked the question about, do you shop for competing quotes every year, and the person came back and said, no, we don't shop, I would have probably said something like, you don't shop, and then let them come at me and tell me why they don't shop, right? If you do that right and you pause for the right amount of time, the more you mirror somebody, the more information you're going to get in a conversation. So I would have liked to have seen him do that approach a little bit, because he may find out something like, well, the owner's brother has an agency, blah, 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 or, just on and on and on with the list of information. But I have found that if you mirror somebody 3 or 4 times with their objections, eventually you can keep them talking to the point that it's more natural for them to be talking to you, and you end up getting what you want. This is probably more effective in a first appointment, but when you're trying to book the appointment, you want to get as much as you can without being over the top. Again, overall, Robert, really solid with, the thought process behind this. He's obviously got some experience doing this. I would have liked to have seen him take his elevator pitch and boil it down into just a quick, easy to deliver something that he could give on the side of the road. If he's walking down the sidewalk talking to somebody in the city, he says, hey man, you're dressed nice. What do you do? Bada boom, bada bing, here it is. Didn't get that. So I think he's going to be safe this week based on how solid the phone answer is, but would have liked to have seen the elevator pitch from him as well.
Hey, Mr. Business Owner, this is Tim Gould with Buckhead Risk Solutions. How are you today? Now, I know you're not expecting my call, so I promise to be brief, but it's not a mistake as to why I called you. Now, I work with specific industries to reduce the cost associated with the risk of operating their business in a post-pandemic environment and actually have a higher than average experience mod. What's crazy is that we find that over half of the programs that are currently in place in your industry are incorrect when it comes to workers' compensation. Now, I apologize for my industry that's conditioned you to take calls around the same time each year regarding the renewal of insurance, but I just have a few questions that I need to ask you. Now, are you okay with having to pay over 20% more than your industry average for workers' compensation? Wow. Now, so is your current representing agency providing a process or a roadmap for you to reduce those costs in the future? So if I could provide you with a process unique to your business that provides a path towards reducing costs and increasing the safety of your employees, which you've agreed are not being provided for you currently, would you be willing to meet with me next week and talk about how this can help you? All right.
The number one, right out of the box, compliment to Tim Gould. A, he's smiling when he picks up the phone to dial. Even in his recreation of the phone call for this video, he's smiling when he picks up the phone to dial. And that shows through to the person on the other line. So that tells me he spent some time in training on what to get done on the phones before. The other thing I like about Tim is that he threw his brand of his process into the mix. He included exactly what he has built along the way into what he is doing. My concern with what he put together is that it's still just a little bit cumbersome and too wordy. I would have liked to have seen him maybe put this thing into an actual script format and then go through and find out all of the unnecessary stuff that's in there when he's over explaining. And that's part of the issue. When you have a phone script, your phone script is simply not to go out and educate people on what it is that you do over the phone. It's to get the appointment booked. You're going to educate them on who you are, what you bring to the table, how you can help them, and all of that when you get into the first appointment. But many times people talk themselves out of that first appointment because they talk too much in the appointment setting call, and it drives people away. And I fear that's where Tim is. The other thing is, I need an elevator pitch from him, and I didn't get it. So I'm a little worried about Tim this week because he's sort of just been floundering around. And as you can see, the competition's getting tighter and tighter. So we'll see what happens. But in any event, I know he's on the right track. So Tim, take this feedback, tighten up your script just a little bit more, work on that elevator pitch, and you should be golden.
My elevator speech. This is if I was at a networking event or actually in an elevator, or if someone asked me a quick, what do you do? I'm a strategic risk manager who specializes in helping companies manage risk and exposure and help them reinvest their resources into business and enable sustained company growth. Here's my phone script. So I pick up the phone, it rings, somebody answers. I don't know who that is. Even though I've done research on the company, I can't really determine who's going to answer the phone on any given day. So my script starts out a little bit bland, but also drops detail because I'm trying to get past that person to set up the appointment to talk to the person that is the decision maker in the company. So here's the script. Hi, I would like to talk to you about your commercial insurance coverage and speak with you about how we have strategically helped companies like yours. Some of the ways we've been able to bring value are strategies such as reviewing your experience mod rates now, before renewal, to make sure they're accurate and up to date. We'll also review your loss runs to identify areas that we can help lower your frequency and or your severity that will impact your future rates. Most recently, we've also scheduled a series of Zoom meetings on topics to provide insight and resources to help businesses thrive during what we call this new normal. For example, one of the Zoom meetings was dedicated to ideas on how businesses could grow their cash flow and increase their revenue streams. At the time, businesses were eager to learn and understand how to gain access to these new government programs that everyone was talking about that gave businesses money to their cash. I'm sure you remember that. We invited professionals from the banking world to provide options regarding EIDL loans and PPP loans. Lastly, we've also created a business community for Central Florida business owners with a blog that's relevant information for you to access on your own time. These activities have already benefited our client base and delivered results, and we'd like to do the same for your company. I know this conversation will bring value to your business and drive growth. Who would I speak to about that? Thank you.
I feel like Tyrone's strategy and thought process is on point. I feel like his messaging is a train wreck. It's way too much to get into all of the things he's talking about when you're using a script to get appointments set on the phone. He took what could have been a 10 to 15 second conversation in terms of his involvement, and he completely dominated the entire thing and didn't ask any questions. He never even checked to make sure that the person was still on the other end. He just kept going on and on about all of the things that he is able to do for somebody and turned a phone script into a miniseries documentary. So my challenge to him would be, you got to keep the thought process on point. Doing the webinars, great idea. But it just needs to be as quick as, hey, we're reaching out to businesses like yours in the area that have experienced some financial hardship due to the pandemic. We're conducting a webinar with our partners from ABC Bank. Wanted to invite you. Who would be the appropriate person, and what's the email for me to send the invitation to? That's it, right? That's all you're trying to accomplish. But instead, it's just this long thing about all of this stuff that, quite frankly, most people aren't going to understand as a business owner or even a CFO, because he's going down the road of total cost of risk and risk management. He's doing it in the 100% the wrong venue. Focus on booking the appointment. And then in the elevator pitch, focus on just getting it out there. What's impactful? What makes somebody say, ooh, I want to hear more. I want to learn more. It's not, here's everything we do in a quick blurb. It's, here's enough to get you interested to ask me a follow-up question. And my theory on that is, when you ask me a follow-up question, you deserve to hear the answer I have for you. So I think that Tyrone is probably going to be safe, but he's stumbling and he's allowing himself to get way too wordy. He needs to keep it simple. So again, just like I had said with Tim Gould, if he had this in writing and in front of him, being able to look at it and say, these are things I don't need to say. This is redundant. Here's where I should pause and wait for a response. Or here's a question I could ask to get engagement, would be much better. But at the end of the day, it's 100% about getting the appointment. And I think we missed the mark on that.
Hey, Justin Sloan here, BSP Insurance in Meriden, Connecticut. I'm going to go through a sample script with you guys right now, so just bear with me, okay? Hi, good morning. This is Justin Sloan from BSP Insurance in Meriden, Connecticut. May I please speak to the individual that handles your cyber incident response plan? I'm sorry, I know that is somewhat confusing. Can you please connect me with whomever handles your cybersecurity in your organization? I'm assuming that may be Roger Jones, your COO, or Betty Lou, your CTO. And just as a little sidebar, guys, I'm dropping the names because I've already done my due diligence, scraped, their website, LinkedIn, things of that nature. So I know the names of the players in the organization. Hi, Betty. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. I wanted to connect with you as I noticed that your business had a cyber breach in 2018 and then again in 2019. That must have been really rough on your business. We are cyber insurance experts with a heavy focus on the health tech industry. I reviewed your website and your business is what our typical client looks like. It appears your business continues to sustain cyber breaches with no end in sight. I was hoping I could help you avoid these issues in the future, which will allow you to focus your time on more important matters inside your organization. I assumed you had cyber insurance in place already, but the problem is you continue to sustain these cyber breaches, which results in higher cyber insurance premiums every year, as well as a lot of wasted resources on your part to handle and assist in these matters. My job as a cyber risk expert is to help your organization identify vulnerabilities both internally, externally, and obviously digitally, and address these issues head on. We actually have a proprietary 8-tiered approach that I would love to show you if you'd be willing to give me 1 hour of your time. For my elevator pitch, I have BSP Insurance has developed a new insurance platform called Cyber Protection Plus. This platform was designed to meet the unique needs of health tech companies that want to gain a better understanding of their cyber risk exposures and address them head on. The Cyber Protection Plus platform is an 8-tiered approach ranging from cybersecurity awareness training for businesses to real-time cybersecurity alerts right on your computer.
So Justin is going to continue to remain at the front of the pack in this process because he gets it. In his elevator pitch, he identified the things that they do. He mentioned the brand of his process. He gave them enough, but not too much. I do think he was a little bit cumbersome in the delivery, but that comes with practice, and this is something that's new. And honestly, it's difficult until you work through it a few times. Taking something that's as long as what most of the first iterations end up being and condensing it down into something that's just 1 or 2 quick, impactful sentences, it's a beast of a challenge. I get that. Good job on this one, Justin. I think your elevator pitch is good. I think it could be great with a little bit of tweaks, but overall, very much safe this week. So Justin said some things here that I really like. Number one, he's pre-qualifying everybody. We're not just dialing for dollars, throwing it against the wall, hoping it sticks. He has an approach that's going to make sense when it's time for him to start actually dialing. That's where it ends. So again, I know how these guys are wired, and it is really, really difficult to take something as complex as cyber and your value proposition and everything that goes into it and boil it down into a simple phone call and a simple elevator pitch. But he needs to work on the script. He let himself get way too much into the information piece, and you're going to lose somebody that's a gatekeeper or even a decision maker. Save that for the first meeting. All you want to do is get an appointment. So if I'm in Justin's shoes and I'm leading with cyber, which my agency does, I'm going to talk to them about the fact that we have a vulnerability assessment on their operation that shows some relatively significant exposure. I need 20 minutes of your time. I'm happy to swing by. I'll give you a copy of the report and we can talk. Something that's simple, right? Or just get an email address, send them the report, and then your phone call to set the appointment is in follow-up to them actually going through that vulnerability assessment. I think that when you get too wordy on these calls, you run the risk of losing the opportunity to get the appointment. At the end of the day, all we're trying to do is get in front of the right person and not sell them everything on the phone. I mean, that's similar to like Cutco knives or one of those deals where somebody shows up, rings your doorbell, and they're demonstrating their product, telling you all the great features, and they never even stop to let you get a word in edgewise. Justin didn't do that here. I just think he let there be too much wording in his script. So I'd like to see him dial that down. But still, obviously a front runner in the competition, and that tweak right there should make the phone script work perfectly for him.
All right, what's going on, Protege world? We're here with our cold call and elevator script that this week's challenge came in, and getting back into it after COVID. Like to say, I was talking to Ricky Hayter, and it feels like you get your mojo back. Losing that stuff sucks. On the elevator pitch, hi, I'm Ryan Keating of Connecticut Risk. We help business owners win by rethinking bottom line protection. Recently, we found that many best-in-class businesses are overspending and often unprotected in areas that matter most. Through simple solutions, our programs can help reduce risk, manage loss, and put money back into the bottom line. For more info, you can visit bottomlineprotector.com. That's another website that I ended up buying. I had a fun night with Hanley and ended up buying a bunch of domains. Then with the cold calling, I think you got to be nice and brief. Directly to the point. Hi, my name is Ryan Keating with Connecticut Risk. We help business owners, CFOs win at protecting their bottom line. Does your company like to win? Who doesn't like to win? So you should get a yes out of that, or you might get a what? Like, who are you? But that's part of the fun of cold calling, is it keeps you on your feet. The BLP program, Bottom Line Protection Program, helps create winning solutions that put money back into XYZ company's bottom line. Who would be best to talk to about this if you think you're not getting the person, or you have a couple different options for who you're talking to. We work with industry clients like XYZ Business, and by fully understanding their business inside and out, we are able to create winning solutions that protect the bottom line. Who would be best to talk to? So still kind of gatekeepering there. Get to the decision maker. Hey, David, this is Ryan Keating. I work with business owners who want to win. Our BLP program has helped clients add money to their bottom line. It does Thursday at 10 a.m. work to see if you qualify.
So I think it's safe to say that it was obvious that Ryan Keating was sick in the challenge that he had to do for the value proposition. I mean, this guy has come back with a vengeance and is wreaking havoc on every challenge since he's recovered. One of the things that I like about Ryan is the fact that he puts a ton of thought and structure into everything that he submits. There's never a question about what he's thinking. There's never a question about whether or not he runs into an objection. How is he going to overcome that? And he's very succinct in how he does that. His script goes down a million different paths as far as if this person says this, then this, and all of that. What he's done is he's captured what happens in the real world. Now, not everybody came through with that thorough of a script. They may be quicker on their feet. Ryan's more analytical, and I understand that about him. So it's interesting to see his thought process and how he overcomes objections in his script. His elevator pitch is on point. He doesn't get into too much detail. He does enough to attract the attention of the prospect or the person that he's speaking to. And I really like the bottom line protection program that he's putting together. I think that's a cool brand. And the fact that he thought ahead and went out and bought the domains surrounding that means this guy's not playing this game. This guy's playing the rest of his career, and he's setting himself up for success. Well done, Ryan. This was worth the wait. As with every week, this is one of those weeks where we need to say goodbye, and I'm sad to say that this week, Tim Gould is going to be voted off the island, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's been fun to have Tim in the Protege. I really like Tim personally. I think that he is an entertaining guy, and I think he and I probably have a lot in common and could have a lot of laughs. But Tim just was all over the place in his work product. And I'm led to believe it's because he's being distracted and pulled in a bunch of different directions. And I can see that when I see how much, don't want to say effort, but how much polish is on a work product that somebody puts forth. He's either been dead on the money or way to the other side. And we're at the point now in the competition where you can't make a single mistake because we've only got 2 more elimination weeks left after this one. And then we're at the top 5, and those top 5 are going to go out and produce. And then it's survival of the fittest. Their production's going to determine who makes the top 3 and goes to San Antonio. So, Tim, I thank you for participating. I'm hoping that this experience has taught you some things. I'm hoping that you also follow for the rest of the process and that you implement the things that you've learned, and ultimately it changes the way you do business and puts a lot of money in your pocket and changes your family tree for generations to come. We wish you nothing but the best, Tim. This week has been interesting. Again, the people that are the front runners have separated themselves, and the people that are just kind of hanging on by a thread are still hanging on by a thread. A lot of it boils down to just paying attention to what the actual challenge is and making an effort to fulfill what the requirements are. We had people who had really good phone scripts but completely ignored the elevator pitch deal. And then we had some people that just wanted to talk way too much for either of the pieces of the challenge. Now, here's the thing. You got to be quick on your feet, and you have to be short and sweet. And I wanted to talk through this because I wouldn't be doing anybody any favors if I didn't give some level of feedback and instruction to the audience as a whole about what they should be looking at or expecting. I think with the telephone scripting specifically, there are a couple things to think about. Number one, nobody has ever taught our prospects how to buy insurance outside of the insurance industry. There's no college course or high school course titled How to Procure Insurance for My Company. It just doesn't exist. They've learned from us. And we've done a pretty bad job, honestly, of teaching people. I mean, we've taught them that we're going to call them 60 to 90 days before renewal. We taught them that they should go out to the market every year and have as many people quote as possible. We've taught them that coverage analysis trumps everything. And if you could just give me a copy of your policies, we'll come in and we'll show you everything the other agent isn't doing right. But that's not what plays in the middle market. I mean, there's a certain level of understanding and acceptance that the person that is reaching out to a prospect belongs in the room, that they're a professional, and that the insurance piece is something that they do. It's quite frankly the common denominator between you and everybody else that's quoting that account, you have to go in and make yourself unique in a very plain world. You have to be abnormal, and you do that through the value proposition, which is why I wanted the contestants to construct their value proposition and the big picture overview in the last challenge, and then boil that down to how they would articulate that over the phone or in an elevator pitch in this challenge, because they got to know what the end game is before they can build the steps to get there. But with regard to the phones, 2 different calls are going to be made. It's going to be a call where you know nothing, or a call where you have some level of information. And depending on which of those 2 it is, determines which strategy you should use. Now, for a very basic, I don't have any information and I just want to get in and find out as much as I can and hopefully have an opportunity to meet with you about your renewal, that's short and sweet. That's as simple as, hey, this is David from Florida Risk Partners. I just wanted to reach out to you today. Now, listen, I know you weren't expecting my call, so I promise I'm going to be brief. And honestly, I've got a laundry list of calls I've got to make, so I'm going to do that for selfish reasons as well. But I wanted to talk to you because I know your workers' compensation renewal is coming up in about 60 to 90 days. And I just wanted to get my name in the hat as to somebody that can come by and have a conversation with you about that. I'm going to be in your area next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Is 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock on Tuesday better for you? And then if they don't want Tuesday, you move to Wednesday. But keep it simple. All you're trying to do is book the appointment. They don't need to know that I'm a workers' comp expert right now. They don't need to know that I have proprietary processes that I run my clients through. They don't need to hear about my software and our risk assessment report and all of the other things that we do. I just want to get a seat at the table. Then I can talk to them about those things. But as far as the appointment setting process, it's short and sweet and to the point. Now, on the flip side, if I did know information, then I would go down the road that both Tim Gould and Derek Hayden went down, and I would ask questions surrounding that. So for example, if I knew somebody had an experience mod that is a 1.5, I know that that particular prospect is paying at least 50% more than their average peer group for workers' comp, and 1.0 being average, so 1.5 means at least 50% more than the average. If people are above average, then the number is even higher. But if I know that, I can make the same phone call and lead with a question that's going to get that person to know, because I know through my reading and my studying of human behavior that no makes people feel in control. No is not, no, I'm not going to talk to you at all, or no, I'm not going to do business with you ever. It's no, you haven't given me enough information, tell me more, or no, this is not a convenient time, let's talk later. You have to figure that out. So if you can get them to know quickly, they feel in control of the conversation. So if I have that 1.5 mod in my back pocket, the call starts out much differently. Just wanted to ask you a quick question. I know you're busy. Are you happy that you're paying at least 50% more than your average in your peer group for your workers' compensation insurance? And many of them don't even realize that they're paying 50% more, but the chances of them being happy about it are slim and none. So the answer to that is no. And then you follow up with, out of curiosity, has anybody ever come in and used software to validate that your experience mod is even accurate? And most of the time, that's also going to be a no. And then you go for the kill shot with the yes. Well, because you're paying at least 50% more than the average peer, and because nobody's ever even come in to validate that your mod is even accurate, wouldn't you agree that it makes sense for us to sit down and have a conversation about how my firm can help you reduce your total cost of risk and stop the bleeding? They can't answer the first 2 questions no without giving a hard thought about giving you the yes on the third one. Derek Hayden articulated that very well. It's obvious to me that Derek has read my blogs because that is directly from information that I've shared in the past, but it is a great way for you to get in front of people, and you can use it with anything. It doesn't have to be workers' comp. It could be auto, it could be property, anything that you want to ask them. Just think about asking the question in a way that's going to get you a no as opposed to the yes. Now with the elevator pitch, this is the one where everybody pretty much, with the exception of one or two, came off the wagon. I mean, they were just way too long. And you got to be quick, right? Your elevator pitch needs to be bam, as quick as you can get it out, so that that person gets engaged and wants to ask you questions. And it's not something that you read from a piece of paper. It's something that you have up here and that you commit to. And so I have to say that as these people were going through this, I understand that this might be new to them, but if they believe in their value proposition, they shouldn't have been reading it from a piece of paper. They should know it so that they can articulate it. Because the last thing you're ever going to do when you get into an elevator is say, hey, hold on just a second. Do you mind if I take this piece of paper out so that I can read to you what I do? That's ludicrous, right? So when people ask me, David, what is it that you do? I say we identify money that's leaking from companies' financial statements, and we provide them with the solutions to put that money back in and increase their profitability. Did that have anything at all to do with insurance? Nope. And that's why I use that. Well, what do you mean money leaking from the financial statements? Well, you know, there are a lot of things that are associated with an insurance and risk management program aside from the actual premiums that companies pay. But unfortunately, you know, I have to apologize for my industry because we've done a really bad job of explaining those other things to companies just like yours. So I've built my entire practice around going in and talking about those other things because we know that if we can fix those, that ultimately we're going to reduce your premiums and put you in the best situation possible. But what we find to be crazy is the amount of money that we're able to identify very early in a relationship that the client just never knew was there. And I'm willing to bet that if you've never gone through an exercise like that, we're probably going to find some stuff in your company as well. Now, I talked for a little while, but only after engagement. And the likelihood of that conversation going for 5 minutes or 10 minutes is extremely high. I'm not talking about what we do when we come in. I'm just talking about a general process. And it doesn't sound like it costs a lot of money. Whereas when you start talking about analysis and drilling down and doing all of that right out of the box in your elevator pitch, people are like, whoa, 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 you sound like an expensive consulting firm. You don't want to do that. So take those couple of nuggets with you because I think that that's relevant to literally any of us that are out there on the outside selling. And I know that it can help you take your game to the completely next level. Less is more. Take the big, wide, long explanation and pare that thing all the way down. And the less you say, the more you learn and the more success you're ultimately going to have. The Protege goes off the rails next week. Now it is time to get down to brass tacks. We have 2 challenges left.
Eyes are the windows to the soul.
Who knows who else has also got another $1 million account going.
Let's see how it goes.
Why don't I just create a whole middle market based commercial insurance company?
That is a natural shift to want to make in your head.
You win with it is when you get super creative.
I have goals and I have mouths to feed, so I can't fail.
No one's going to say to you, before I buy, show me all that stuff.
I don't like it, if I'm going to be honest with you.